What did you think of the season, babe?
Okay.
And what did you think of the finale? You go first.
So like you mentioned before, we watched the finale twice. And the first time I kind of had a negative reaction to it. But watching it back, I enjoyed it a lot more. And I think the takeaway for me is I just hated that Josh had the worst out of all of them. And yes, he makes shitty decisions, but he's not like a bad person. And it really upset me that, you know, Lindsay has her happy ending. She gets to live in the countryside with a new family and just gets everything she wants with no repercussions, no anything. And that like pissed me off because I don't like her.
It pissed you off both times you watched it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes,
How
definitely.
How do you feel about what happened to Ashley and Austin?
Ashley and Austin are so annoying, I think I was rooting for Austin to be single. Right. I really wanted that for him. I didn't think he should stay with Ashley. I didn't think he should just start fresh with Eunice because it's already such a mess of them beginning a relationship in the first place. And he really just needed to go on a single journey and just really learn who Austin is and just live his best life for a little while. So yeah, that was also definitely a bummer that he ends up settling with Ashley and having the kid. Because in the last episode, she mentions like, sorry, you're going to have a kid with someone you hate so much.
Hell of a line. And it's really a woe is me guilt trip thing. Like it's feel bad for me and then change your mind about what you really want so that I can have what I want.
Right.
Tough. The thing that I really reflected on for me, I had a similar reaction. The first time we watched it, I think you and I had very similar reactions of like, it is not a satisfying ending. It is a very bleak ending, specifically with the epilogue showing what happens to them after the fact. If you just ended on Josh gave himself up, we don't really know what happens to everybody. It's a little less bleak and it's a little more heroic because Josh, who has been lying and manipulating and stealing and doing not great things for the whole season, finally does something selfless that is not transactional at all. He doesn't get anything out of it.
Yeah.
All he is doing, he's trying to protect Lindsay.
Right.
Because she did things that were messed up too. And the kids. He doesn't want the kids to get in trouble either. And so he takes it all onto himself and suffers the full consequences. And so there's something kind of heroic about that. To your point about what happens to all of them, I think one of the things that I was able to appreciate watching it a second time is there are two different kinds of, and this is where I'm putting my writer's hat on a little bit. There are two different kinds of stories that you can tell when they're longer like this. And maybe it's all stories, but when they're longer and they're narrative and you're following characters and what happens to them, you can really do two things. It's very hard to do them both at the same time. You can satisfy the audience and make sure that you put a bow on it. We watched Office Romance, right? They really try to put a bow on everything. Even the thing that you mentioned at the end of that movie where it's like they get engaged and they're going to be married. You're like, we didn't even need that. The reason they did that is because they want you to feel the most complete and satisfied that you possibly can as you walk away from it, being like, wow, it didn't just work out for them. It's going to keep working out for them. Even after I stop watching the movie, I get to know that they just are happy forever. And that satisfies the audience. That makes us go like, wow, great. They win, we win, everybody wins. Have a good night. Some people vehemently reject those kinds of stories because it doesn't feel real. Mm-hmm. That's not real life. You don't always win. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. Usually it's complicated and it's not even that cut and dried binary win or lose. It's like, there's some stuff. This story does that.
Yeah.
And one of the things that you have an opportunity to do if you're not satisfying the audience is you can satisfy the human nature. You can satisfy the storytelling about the human condition. And that is what this show is clearly trying to do. In the first season of Beef, it is far more positive at the end. You have these two people who really spend most of the season wrestling with negative choices and emotions. And by the end, even though they're broken and beaten and battered, they find some empathy for each other. Was it Danny and Anna? I can't remember their names. Stephen Youn and Ali Wong. They find something really positive at the end. So it feels kind of optimistic. And that is part of the human condition too. We get the shit kicked out of us and we go, all right, man, we should be better. We should be different. What this show did was different. This season took a different approach and it tried to tell a different story. And what I took away from it is Dr. Kim gives a speech before he dies. And then Chairwoman Park gives kind of the opposite speech. Right.
Yeah.
And her speech ends up being, in a way, though she's very dark and honestly, we were talking about like psychopathic.
Yeah.
Because she's the extreme of like believing that people are to be used. That's what they're for. And you can either climb the ladder or you can end up like the doctor.
Yeah. Yeah.
But her speech is about how it's all a system and escaping the system is very, very difficult. And it's interesting that you say it sucks to see Josh get punished. And it sucks to see Lindsay not get punished. And we don't see a lot of how Lindsay is.
Right.
But we do see that she has things. And we see that she has a house and she has a kid and she has a new husband and they both seem lovely. We don't see that she's happy.
It's true. She is hiding in the bathroom.
Rather than sitting at her desk,
Right.
openly watching this story unfold, she's hiding in the bathroom to watch it. We also don't see evidence that she's miserable.
Sure.
But it doesn't show us that she's like happy with this new life. We just see that she has a new life.
Good point.
Austin and Ashley are the same. They literally end up blessed with exactly what they thought they wanted in episode 1. They're these young, broke, struggling couple who are like, man, if we could just be like Josh and Lindsay, they don't appreciate it. We would.
Right.
And we would be good to each other. They have everything and they're fighting. What? They end up exactly in the situation of Josh and Lindsay.
Yeah.
Like hilariously identical. They are invited to a double date by Troy and Ava. It is the same life. She has his job. They have the kid. They don't seem happy.
Yeah.
Josh, I don't know if he seems happy, but he does seem at peace and he seems okay. And when he's leaving prison and the guy's like, hey, I looked up your girl, Lindsay, and I got an address. I had my homie on the outside, like look her up and she got remarried and she blah, blah, blah. And do you want to, here's the info. I'll give it to you. You can go check her out, hit her up, see what's going on. He's like, nah, I'm good. I don't need that. I'm just going to move on with my life. He's the same guy that he became when he decided to give himself up. He is relinquished the guy who stole, the guy who lied, the guy who manipulated. And I'm not convinced he's ever going to do those things ever again. He's not going to make a habit out of what he was doing before. And after he did the Bufo in season or in episode 6 or 7, whatever it was, 6, he had this clarity. And in a way, he almost pulled back from that clarity as he went to Seoul and dealt with everything. And then he gave back into the clarity and was like, I don't want to be this for the rest of my life. Yeah. And what Lindsay's asking him to do is give up on the clarity, throw these kids under the bus, even though we've done way worse things than they did. make them suffer and let us get away with it. And he's like, you're right. And he's like, no.
Yeah.
I don't want to carry that around for the rest of my life. So I think the point that the show is kind of pointing towards, if you want to see it, is the systems go on one way or another, whether you get in them or stay in them or get out. Getting out is very hard. And it seems like a classic tale of you get everything you want. Are you happy?
Yeah. And I think like Chairwoman Park, grandma, like she's fine. Like she's not, I don't know if she's happy.
She's emotionally bankrupt. She's not happy.
Yeah.
The choices she's made have made her even more cold and more empty. And she has no one. Whoosh is gone. Eunice is gone. Both husbands are dead. She has nothing. She has nothing but all her money.
And it kind of reminds me of Squid Game. You know, when what does he have?
It is a very Korean story.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
But I do think just my therapist brain of Austin choosing Ashley in the end, unfortunately, it does make a lot of sense. There's a lot. Obviously, they have this crazy trauma bond now, like escaping death, basically, in Korea, running around and assassins trying to get them. Like, obviously, that's a factor. But I think he realized, like, it'll just be an easier life if I choose Ashley and the baby. And he's kind of a simple-minded dude. And I think
he's in denial for a long time about Eunice, but I think he also realizes, like, she's only saying I love you so that you'll go turn the stuff into the police. And she does like you.
Yeah, and you don't know her.
Right. And he knows that by the end. He's like, that was a pipe dream.
Like, he was infatuated by Eunice.
It was a way out of Ashley.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Yeah, because Coyote is Coyote. Ashley is Ashley.
100%.
But he chose that life, and now he's miserable. And sure, he has the kid, but like, she sucks.
Yeah, she's not a nice person. And everything that he said about her when they were trapped behind the glass was true. She is perpetually chasing not being abandoned. And she becomes Josh and Lindsay. And he kind of goes along for the ride because he is too scared to do anything else. And now he's got a kid and she makes all the money.
Right.
And he's trapped. He's trapped in the system, in that big circle at the end. The marriage, the argument, the kid, the next thing. All that stuff Josh said after the Bufo. He's like, it's always the next thing. And it never stops. You have to go. And when you do that, you go to prison. And then you have to suffer through the cataclysm to come out the other side a different person.
Yeah. And then obviously we see Troy and Ava exactly where they were.
Yeah. No, they were never going to change.
Yeah. But like, it just makes me sad knowing there are people out there living their lives married for that long. At that point, it's probably been like a decade at least.
Yeah.
And, you know, Ava was very honest, like on the flight, and was just like, is this how it's always going to be? Like, you know, like they already have distance.
They resign to the circumstance.
Yeah. And it just breaks my heart. It really does.
Yeah, I get that. And I think that that's one of the reasons why you and I ended up having kind of different reactions at the end of it all. Just your biggest concern was the justice of it. You're a social worker. Like of course you were looking at what happened to everybody and you were like, that's not fair. That's not fair.
Right.
And I have a slightly different perspective for a few reasons. The primary one being I accept inherently first that while something is sad and sucks, the world is not fair.
Right.
That is not part of how the world works. And to Chairwoman Park's point, it kind of can't work that way.
Right.
It has to work in this system. You know, it's kind of like why communism always fails, but also boundless capitalism fails too. These systems, they work to a degree, but they also have their faults. And the truth of the matter is you need some kind of weird compromise in the middle, and people will lose and people will win. There will always be winners and losers. And when you try to eliminate that, you're going against human nature.
Yeah.
There is a certain amount of human nature that is undeniable.
Yeah.
You can't get away from it. Lindsay's not going to get better, dude. And Ashley's never going to change. No fucking way.
Yeah, and I think just their theme about systems, like I think in my work, especially we talk about how broken systems are. And so it's really a lot of people just coping with the fact that the healthcare system, the mental health, system, like
the economy,
just everything is just, it's so tough.
Yeah, and it's tough. Never going to be great. The best you have is it's not on fire.
Right.
That's as best as it gets.
You just manage.
And it doesn't mean you lean into complacency and you just go, oh, well, it sucks and it's always going to suck. There's nothing I could do. You should fight for change. You should try to make adjustments. If you see trash on the floor, pick it up. If it's within your reach, like, of course, you should always do that. Yeah. But you also can't resign to, like, the way Ashley is for most of this season, just being like, we're victims in all of this and we hold no responsibility. And if we could just hold the people at the top accountable, the people at the bottom will win, all of them. And it's like, no, that's not how it works. The Troys of the world got to be Troys for a reason. They remain Troys for a reason. If you end up in a situation where you're Josh or Austin, who are the two characters who are truly faced, and Dr. Kim, the characters that truly face an opportunity to change, to do something else, to take a different path, it is incredibly difficult. Dr. Kim chooses the other path and is immediately punished for it.
Right.
Austin strongly considers the other path. And at the end, he's too weak for it.
Yeah.
Josh actually chooses the other path and is brutally punished for it. However, he's offered an opportunity to do something different with his life after he gets out and to be a different person. And he's the only one out of all the characters we encounter in the whole show that seems like they truly change.
Mm-hmm.
He's the only one. And you know what? The fucking ants come back. The ants on the sand come back.
Right.
And you know what I was thinking about?
Oh, yeah, it's true.
You mentioned in an earlier episode that maybe you read this, or I don't know if you figured it out or what, I don't remember, but you were saying I think you said you read this online, that the ants represent like working class people. And in like the first shot, someone steps on the ants. But they keep walking. They don't kill the ants when they step on them. And the ants just work in service of the queen without thinking about it.
Yeah.
Another element that I thought about was the ants, like we've been talking about, are within a system.
Yeah.
The system is pretty effective. It works really well. The things, I mean, everybody knows, you look at what's it called, an ant farm, where you can see the side of it. Mm-hmm. You're like, whoa. When they like pour metal into the ant colony and then pull it up, the systems they build, the weight they can lift, the things they move, it's just amazing what they accomplish. But the entire system that is seemingly perfect hinges on the fact that these ants don't totally get what they're doing.
Right.
They don't have independent thought.
Right.
They just follow the ant in front of them.
Yeah.
They follow these invisible rules and paths and systems. And they don't even know why. They're born and they start going. And then they go. And then at some point they die. And That's it.
Yeah.
And that is what you would need for a system to work perfectly. There are civilizations throughout history and currently on Earth that are attempting to force human beings into that kind of system. China. They want North Korea. They're like, if you'll just surrender agency and autonomy and independent thought and trust the queen, the system will work. Just follow the rules and do what you're supposed to. But that is so counter to human nature. What makes us human is the desire to function independently and to have your own thoughts. It just, it happens. And it doesn't happen in mass. Josh is the only one who gets away with it.
Right.
None of the other ones can escape the system.
Which honestly is such a Korean theme.
Yes.
Now that we're talking about it.
This is such a Korean show.
I'm like, I need to get out of the system. Like, I'm running out of the system.
And how many people in your family think and feel the way you do about that?
Very few.
You're Josh. Everyone else on the show is most of the people in your family. In fact, most of the people in your family, with all due respect, and you know I love them, they're my family too, but most of them are Troy and Ava.
Yeah.
They got the chalet. They're on the PJ.
Right.
And they go day by day. And just...
I mean, I literally have an uncle who could be Troy.
Yeah. And he's a happy guy.
Yeah.
I think. Like, as best we know, Troy seems happy. Ava's like medium happy, but she's happy most of the time we see her. She's having lunch. She's playing golf. She's doing this. She gets a little annoyed that Troy's not there for her in the way that she wishes, but she doesn't seem like deep down miserable like Josh and Lindsay. Ava seems fine. Troy seems good.
And we talked about last episode how we want to be like Ava.
Yeah.
She's like, wow, Korea's so safe. Like she's
fun dumb.
She has no idea what's going on.
Yeah. She's fun dumb, and she just gets to ride the PJ to wherever it goes next.
The PJ, right.
And at the end of the day, I think it's like, do you want... How much of the struggle is valuable to you, and where does it get you to struggle against it? And we've been talking about this a lot on my other channel on Vinyl Public Access, where we talk about the gaming industry, and people are so upset about all the choices that have been made at the top over the last 10 years. And I'm not even here to like debate that one way or another, but do you want to be right or do you want to be happy? And how much of it is in your control? I'm not saying that as a rhetorical question. You have to actually ask those questions of yourself.
Yeah.
There are systems that you need to stand up and do something about. There are other things that, man, you could scream as much as you want, and all you're going to do is chafe your hand on the handcuffs, dude.
Right.
What do you want to do? It's up to you, and you could choose whatever you want. But just accept that there are going to be times when you're screaming from the bunker that's 50 floors below the surface and no one can hear you, and you're wasting what little oxygen you have. So just be aware of the system you're in and take the paths you can take.
And I really encourage people who are frustrated about things. Like, it's so easy to put all your anger on the internet and like type stuff out.
Do you think that's helpful?
I don't know if it's helpful, but my advice is to actually talk to people and engage in that way.
Right.
Because you'll realize how differently that approach is. Like, typing behind a screen is so easy.
What's
and
the
your brain
difference?
can just like... I think when you have any sort of barrier, it gives you like an easier outlet to just like word vomit everything. But there's something about like having like a human interaction, even if it's on the phone, just hearing someone's tone of voice.
Right.
you know, like their intonation,
Nuances of their communication.
the nuances, especially if you're virtual, you see their body language, like all of that changes drastically from like what you're trying to communicate versus like behind a screen. I always encourage people to like call someone on the phone.
Do you think that communicating digitally, by which I mean words, I mean more specific, non-verbally, non-visually, do you think communicating through text alone, whether it's on the internet or text messages between people, do you think it gives people an opportunity to diminish their empathy while they communicate?
Absolutely.
Why is that, do you think? Why is it that just hearing someone's voice or looking at them in the eye makes you take at least a pause before you're like, you piece of like you really, it's so much harder to yell at someone than to type a bunch of all caps nasty language. What is it about the text that lets us remove our humanity?
I think when you text, a lot of people, it's an impulsivity that happens, right? Like I've talked to you about this. When I get like a message, I'm like, I don't know what to do with this.
Right.
I always have the impulse of like what I want to say, but I always pause on that.
Yeah.
Like I think it's so important to know what your impulse is. And usually if you're heated or someone said something to you don't like, you're probably going to talk back in like a negative way.
Makes
and
sense.
So if you just pause, not to say you can't write the initial thought first, but don't send that.
Yeah.
I don't think you should send the first thing that pops into your head.
I mean, I'm big on this, and we've had moments in our relationship where we've been in conflict, and I've had to say to you, I'm not going to text you about this. I need to talk to you on the phone. I've had this happen with countless people, and I'm just like this, where it's like, I'm happy to communicate logistics and positive emotions and storytelling. There's a bunch of different kinds of communication that are great through text. And planning stuff. Think that there's so many different occasions for communication where it's like text. Go ahead and text. Informing. Conflict is not the place to be texting. Trading paragraphs is horrible. It is not. I've never seen a conflict where I'm like, oh man, I'm glad this is happening through text or like email or YouTube comments or whatever. It's not the right way to do it, and I refuse to do it.
And honestly, like, I think most people tend to lean towards that because it's just easier again. But it is kind of
they don't have to engage with their humanity. It's a lot easier to not be nice and not be a person.
But it's kind of the stupider move because
I agree with that.
Now there's proof.
Yep.
At least on
point.
At least a phone call, it's that moment. Hopefully no one's like recording every phone call.
No,
in.
True. You're so right. It's like those are the two huge bonuses.
Yeah.
But here's the drawback.
Okay.
It's going to be harder to be mean. It is harder to be mean to someone's face than it is to send them a text or to leave them a comment. And some people, deep down, their priority
is to be mean,
is to hurt somebody.
Right.
That's what they want out of the whole interaction. They don't want to have a discourse. They don't want to learn. They don't want to reflect. They don't want to understand. They don't want to engage. They just want to hurt and bail. That is what a lot of the internet is. And that's why people love the internet. That's what trolling is. That's to say, listen, this is not a two-way dialogue. This is a monologue. I am leaving my hurtful paragraph for you. I hope you read it. I hope it hurts you. And do not say anything back unless it is to request an additional hurtful paragraph. And I will be prepared to give you another one when you ask.
I think
that's how people are. Not
Yeah.
everybody, but a lot of people are like that. Even people that are fucking nice to you in person. You'd be surprised how willing they are to throw a hurtful paragraph at somebody else that's not you.
Yeah. Well, I think they need a therapist. And also, I think they need to learn some emotional regulation. That seems to be something that would help them out.
If your priority, be honest with yourself. If your priority at any given point is to hurt someone, and it's important to you, not solve a problem, but hurt them. I want them to hurt. I want them to feel the pain. I'm talking about even if it's a bad person, maybe even a bad celebrity. You're like, oh, Andrew Tate got arrested. I hope he feels bad. I hope it hurts him. Even if they hurt other people, if them feeling hurt is important to you, I recommend that you seek therapy. I do not think it is a healthy mental thing to want hurt to happen to other people, even bad people. And if they're not categorically bad people and they're just someone you have a problem with or someone you disagree with or someone who transgressed on you, didn't hurt you, but just like did you wrong, and you want them to hurt, like feel pain and hurt, even emotional, I'd look into that, bro. Yeah. I'd look into that. That's a symptom. That's a symptom of a deeply problematic situation that might end up hurting you really badly later.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, let me know. I'm in your territory now, and I don't want to speak out of pocket. So if I say anything wrong, please correct me. But that's just man. And I say that as someone, when I was younger, I did try to hurt people with my language. When I was younger, I'd get mad. I'd get my feelings hurt. I was insecure. You said something about me I didn't like. Yeah. I'd be like, let me fucking say something mean. But I don't have a drop of that in me anymore.
Yeah, and honestly, that's like developmental, like the age you're in.
Yeah.
High schoolers.
Yeah.
And then you learn, like, hopefully there's that growing pain period where you're like, okay, I don't want to keep being this person. I don't want to be shitty and like actually want to hurt people with my words or physically or emotionally.
Right.
Right. And then usually by 25, they say, like,
let's hope.
Right. That's the hope.
Well, and I think we all go through, hopefully, to an extent, we go through a wave. I know I did, because when I was young, like elementary school, middle school, early middle school, I found it so jarring and I was so taken aback that other people wanted to hurt me, like hurt my feelings, be mean to me, bully me, whatever. I was I went to school all fucking, hey, everything's great. And then people were like, why are you so happy? Hurt. And I was like, why are you doing this to me? I don't want to hurt you. Why are you hurting me? And that happened to me enough that the whole hurt people thing became true. And then I entered years of like, you know what? If this is the game, if the game is you hurt me, I hurt you, then I'll get good at the game.
Well, that was learned for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I didn't start young. And I think some people do. I think because of the environment they grow in, or they're conditioned from an early age. Somebody hurt those other kids before they got to school, before they hurt me. Because I didn't start the fight. I never started fights. I didn't want to hurt anybody. Then I would want to say like, maybe coming out of like end of 7th grade, maybe 8th grade, 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, 12th grade, high school, in that ballpark, maybe even like, maybe 19, 20. But by the time I was like 20, I was like, this sucks. I don't want to be a part of this anymore. It's like when a soldier's in the middle of war and they just like lay down their gun and they're like, I'm a pacifist now. I don't want to do this. I just watched a guy get his brains blown out. Like, I don't want to be a part of this anymore. And that's what it was for me, for emotionally hurting people. Like I was pure and kind and sweet, because that's mostly how people were to me when I was young. Then I went out into the world and people were like, fuck you. And I was like, why? So I started fuck you back. And then after a few years, I was like, I'm so tired. I don't want to do this anymore. And I haven't been that way since then. And only since then, I've gotten more and more. Even, that's what I said in the beginning, even the bad people, I don't want to watch them suffer. I think you should be punished for transgressions and crime. Like,
sure.
I mentioned Andrew Tate. Should Andrew Tate go to jail if he's found guilty of crimes? Of course. I don't think everyone should just be let go. But I don't get any sense of satisfaction knowing that he's punished for it. I just am like, oh, someone went to jail because they committed a crime. That's good. That's how that should go. But I don't get an emotional like, yeah, I feel good knowing that they're suffering.
Yeah.
No suffering makes me feel good. And if suffering makes you feel good, go. Let me give you a phone number. You should talk to someone like this.
Yeah, and I think the closest I think of is when people break up and they're just like they want revenge, or they just really want that person to just have the worst life.
Yeah. You want to know that because you're hurt, that they're being hurt later, even if you don't get to witness it. You love hearing like, oh, hey, did you hear your ex-girlfriend got in a car wreck? People are like, oh, thank God, she deserves it. You're like,
yeah,
why?
that's like pretty jarring.
Because she yelled at you for leaving your toothbrush out? Like, what did she do to you?
Right.
Even if she cheated on you. Okay. You want her to like be in pain now? That's so wild. Retaliatory pain and desiring that is problematic.
Yeah.
I liked this season.
On that note,
I liked the season.
I did too. It was definitely a different kind of beef for sure. That's been the biggest criticism, I think.
Is that it was different?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it was a little on the lower stakes, but I still enjoyed it because it was a lot of emotional baggage, obviously just hurt people. That was like a really big theme. And I just thought the ensemble was great.
Yeah.
I really liked their chemistry, and I love how they each had their own scenes together. Just strong cast.
It reminds me of the Jim Carrey quote where they asked him about ambition and he said he didn't have any. And they said, how did you go from who you were to someone who lacks ambition? And he said, because I got everything I ever wanted. I stood right on top of it and I still wasn't happy. And there's a million great poems and axioms and different things that illustrate this point that we as human beings still struggle to comprehend, which is everything you want is usually not the path to joy and peace.
Yeah. And I think that's why, like, we really lean on gratitude.
You and I?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Like, truly. Like, we talk about gratitude a lot.
Yeah.
And it's such a mindset. It's just a reminder of, like, finding each other, the life we've built together, just enjoying actually being together.
Yeah.
And we don't take that for granted.
Yeah.
We really don't, because we have been around people who are married, but they're not happy.
Yeah.
We've been around people who've been together for a really long time and they don't seem to be happy. And we always talk about how, like, it's a bummer right now, our season in life, like, we don't get to spend that much time together. And, like, genuinely, we love spending time together.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I'm just so grateful.
Yeah, me too. I think gratitude is a skill to practice, and I think it is also a habit to form. Anytime you encounter suffering, loss, all of it, and joy and reward, to find the gratitude in it and really appreciate it. When a good thing happens to you, appreciate it. When a bad thing happens to you, is there something you can still be grateful for that's not delusional or you being in denial? Because it will ease your suffering. Mm-hmm. It'll make it easier. to suffer the loss. If you can find something to genuinely be grateful for in the situation. You got an old person in your life who's very sick that you love, and then they die. That is sad, and grieving that loss is real. But that can also be balanced out by the fact that they're not suffering that illness anymore, and they get to be at peace now. And maybe they've been suffering for a long time, and it's like,
right,
man, that part's over. And there's nothing wrong with trying to hold those two thoughts in your head at the same time. It's a good thing. It's a good thing to find those little things to have gratitude for.
Mm-hmm.
I have a lot of gratitude for you. I love you.
I love you. Beef.
Stay tuned to Oxford Study. It's always going to be this cute. Count on it.